There we go. Absolutely thing. People too sensitive. All right. Where are we at? Where are we going? My initial thought is we're not going very far today. The looking at the S&Ps here, they've reached their initial destination. 200 is up there, but that's subjective, as you know, but it's a focal point. Looking to the left, it's right there. And got the half number. And now, prior day's low, first support. I think the market stayed within here. The positive seasonality, maybe buyers step up to make a higher low. As you know, it's a shortened day, so there isn't much time to do it. I could, this could turn around and maybe tag that 200. You can see how it's trending down. The momentum hasn't slowed yet. It was a pretty strong momentum move down, and as was that. There's nothing to the left. I'd be a little surprised to see it come all the way down here today, but that's the way it looks. We do have some minor support there at around 20, 40, 20 beyond what's directly to the left. So we need to see initially some stabilization. And as I said, this came down relatively fast. And so we need to see it begin to slow down. And Q spiders. Right there. It's pulling back. Same story. Where is it? Really, it's flat, right? Flat. Damn flat. Zero. That's updating. S&P's down 2. Going to be low volume, but typically this day does well and short term for a couple of hours, and then it's over. Came down to support. It's up at resistance. Most of the time this does take out the high. The idea of a greater than 100% retracement. I would have thought, tag the 200, then it slows down, and it's already slowing down, but really it's kind of a screeching halt there, but up at this high. So, but not, again, it would have to flip right back up again, but just looking at, last week's data, the other day's data, this was bullish, just popping up and going sideways. And so it's still within that little range there. Yeah. SPX. Did zero it out. Top side. So last week's numbers never got touched because it was just relatively tight and was up around 40, 50-ish, which is still there. 40.55 is 95 by $1. There's a pretty big drop to 60. But 55 is right about the 200, which is kind of you would think that's where it would go today. So, but things are down a little bit. So it isn't a no-brainer. And down below is 39.90. It's really tight. It's not, I like no-brainers, and I wouldn't say these are no-brainers, but those relatively tight things have worked out all week. A lot of gamma across 50. Yeah, it would make sense. It's usually, sometimes those half numbers are big like that, you know better, McGraw, but it's usually the whole numbers. But look, I think that is the top side. And, it's just a choice. I don't want to babysit things today personally, but I think it's a reasonable trade. Got overlapping things here. Monday. Yeah. Again, that's just a choice. You want to go out into next week, but 4,000 is a big level. So if going below it, I mean that does make sense. 39.90. You're 10 points underneath, but I don't, what I was going to say, I don't see things getting out of hand today, but you never know. And that is so damn close. It's not for me. Let me just put it that way. It's not for me. Yeah. So McGrath say, yeah, it's a credit spread. You don't have to wait until the end. Those are on YouTube and Facebook, and all McGrath's telling me, look, you can do Monday. You don't have to wait to Monday to close it. So, but we need some kind of movement. And now it's moving down. Anyway, internals are neutral, Tony. It's what we were expecting. They came up to that extreme there. They had the little pullback, prices retraced, and back up to resistance. So they're really not giving us any advantage there. You know, we've been talking about the underperformer being the outperformer, and that to some degree has been an extent. Semiconductors, they've been kind of whippy, but you know, backing off here from this bar, the top of that bar, which you can see, right, is right up there. And so once it reaches a resistance area, you go through this process. It's like, okay, this is still an uptrend. It's that resistance. Is it going to slow down or keep going? And once you have a pivot, then there's a reference point. And then there was another pivot. So more sideways price action building a supply area, which would support the idea of getting through that pivot there. But, again, it still was in an uptrend. So now that it's broken that and entered the void, this appears like, it's just the way we view things. The method is that it's going to go down to this area here. So that's what I'll be looking for, seeing if it can get down there. Well, we just reverse the process. And I don't expect it to need to happen on an hourly chart, but, coming down here and then looking for a picture like this, right? These candles would be green, of course, but this picture of pivots down here on this time frame, which might take whatever, 20, 30 minutes. But I could even use a 2-minute once it gets down there to see as it starts basing. The idea is once it gets down to that level, then, right, the expectation is that it starts to form this kind of price action. Doesn't have to be exactly like that, on a smaller time frame to look for a long. Pretty simple. And where are we at here? In the halfway mark of the green bar. And we'll see how much damage. I mean, today, usually things, I don't remember every year, but my general recollection is today the markets go up. It was starting out just in the opposite way. So it doesn't always follow exactly, of course, but it's usually a positive day. Nothing's really quiet, right? Same pattern there. That would be a long way to drop. I'd be surprised if it came all the way down there to Wednesday's low. That would kind of change things, wouldn't it? If prices were to close there a little bit, because it's be not what we've been expecting. And YM, it's down here at that pivot, but it hasn't broken this sideways consolidation. So this has been the strongest. So that'll definitely be something to be keeping an eye on as to whether this breaks. Can't leave that red. Right. Whether that little level breaks and if this should break below here, then my thinking is going to be that these others that have already broken will have a greater probability of getting down here. Right. We'll see. I mean, just based on what I'm seeing right now, I think the best trade of the day, short-term trade of the day, I don't know about getting a setup here because there's nothing as far as shorting this to go down to this low, but the best trade of the day could be if the markets do get down here, there's some stabilization for 10 minutes, and then which stocks are showing relative strength or the markets in general to have some kind of a rally. Dan saying best trade is equal mimosas. All right, Dan, I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking of getting out of here too, tell you the truth. Go enjoy a little relaxing time on the boat in the afternoon, which has been a while. Yeah. I hear you, Dan. I forgot about last year, Steve. I guess I did. What happened last year? I invite you to refresh my memory because, I mean, when you think about 30 years of Thanksgiving, days after Thanksgiving, they kind of do Omicron. Oh, the big disaster that turned out to be a whimper. Yes, the market, that was the interesting thing. One of the interesting things about the last year or two, but prior to this year, was there was always something like today. There's always something to be worried about, but it was interesting is like how many times it was China, it was COVID, it was whatever, and the markets would run lower and then rip right back up again. But Omicron was the last scare that was going to kill everyone again, and people got a little sick. I probably got a little sick, but never tested positive for any of that stuff. Anyways, Bitcoin we're just looking at. So the dollar is up a little bit. So this being so close to this low, I think I mentioned this last week for something, being so close to this low. And with this kind of momentum, it tends to be tricky as far as thinking about this kind of a short, this general pattern. But the idea here is, the dollar coming down into this major support level. And that is where, assuming that it begins to stabilize and turns up, the markets begin to pull back. The dollar possible a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the weekly. Could be thing. I mean, the ideal situation is, I know is that this igniting bar would have been smaller, and then you get, like the one, say it may be at the 20, and then you get the inside bar right up here, and the 3 bar, just to explain to others that don't know, takes out the inside, and that's not an inside bar, but narrow bodied bar. This bar takes out that bar's high. So if that was occurring up here, that would be our continuation pattern. So 2 things, it would be close to where it started versus closer to where it's likely to end here. And so it happening up here, and then you get the continuation pattern down to major support. That's the ideal scenario. This is not, since it's traveled so far. So, part of what I'm thinking you're suggesting is that, you've gotten this move, and now should this trigger, which would have to happen next week because this bar isn't done yet, it'll be done today. And then you would get something like that down to this next level. So, well, there's no void, but just going along with what you've mentioned is that this consolidation that has happened here, right, could be viewed as an area that was built up, new supply, that could fuel or drive prices through this major support. I wouldn't want to bet on that, because of what's here. But using, the daily chart, multiple time frames, failures in this area in a smaller time frame to move higher next week could support this theory, but we'll just have to see. Right? But I get the suggestion. I just, was pointing out different concepts as to where the ideal would be for it to happen and what could transpire here. So we'll see how it plays out. I'll leave my little drawing there. We'll talk about it next week. Oh yeah, absolutely. So, what we're talking about here is, should this happen, it could produce, for those on the internet, we could produce a significant move up in the markets if this was to move down. Absolutely. Yeah. Can you believe Mike M on internet there is saying Fauci saved us all? Yeah, with double masks. And I believe he was still on TV the other day saying, oh, be careful at Thanksgiving. Can you believe they stopped people from getting together? Oh, let's not get started on that. Right? The turkey police were going to show up at your door if you had too many people enjoying the time together. Crazy times. Not much going on here. I'd like a little more consolidation there, but this is setting up. Yep. That's setting up GDX. And I were looking for this to come a little lower last week, and it didn't. But so it just shows the strong demand that it didn't pull back toward the 20 in these bars here. Right, getting a continuation pattern here. So we'll have to use the smaller time frame for an entry point at a little bit of a higher price. And let's reach its destination. We'll be keeping an eye on this. This is kind of diving as I'm speaking, huh? But should start to stabilize down here with all those pivots, of course. And things are getting a little more negative here. Almost down there. So got to get ready. See if we make the turn here. Anyway, all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Yeah, very quiet here. And I made the comment Wednesday that it should have gone already, and it didn't. So I think it's going to be a boring day here. but many times when you have light volume on holidays, and I don't know if it's orchestrated or it just kind of happens, but you could get nice little rallies. So it's up to you if you want to stick around. But as of right now, we're drifting lower here. Q's weaker. Look at this Manu here. I miss this igniting bar. This is Manchester United. Something's going on with that. So I don't have much to talk about either. Our opens are all fine. We got a couple put spreads. We're don't have any shorts for sale. We had 100% bullish positions. Just glancing at the open minder, everything looks fine. So let's see what I have over here. DLR, I like as a directional. Let me put this in a window. ELR, top of the range if you look on an intraday time frame. So we'll only do a half, and then keep an eye on it. Yeah, we're in MPC. All the opens are fine. We still have a third of this monster, and it held the low, gap it up a little bit. We're just in trail mode. Gold, Greg mentioned, it's a buy setup, but I don't like buy setups that form in the middle of no man's land after a climo. Because many times you can trade it, but many times they'll fail and dip down and make a lower low, and then that's the place to get in. FLNC for Debbie. So that's more would I would say a 1, 2, 3 if today's an inside bar, because that's a big move. It is a closing breakout. NRGV, same. They're bullish. I prefer 1, 2, 3. Whiskey here. Retailer just been decimated. 350 down to 32. I'm gonna watch it. I think it may take a week or two to set up, but if it's starting a bottoming pattern. FXI, COVID cases on the rise. So they shut down one of China's iPhone cities and still supply things. This is the weakest Dow 30. Down 240. Every other Dow 30 stock right now is up or down less than $1. That's the definition of a flat opening. And I mean, Apple was in the process of making a little bottoming pattern here, but now looks like it's going down. This coup had a big old day on Friday. Wow, look at this. That's an intraday halt. Look at that 15-minute chart. I don't know what the news was, but look at the volume, the igniting bar. Now, this could also be a core trade. Now, there's no pattern yet, unless you just want to put a stop Friday. Well, it's not Friday. Wednesday's low. But I like this monthly. New low and possible breakdown failure. So that's going on my core long list. Let's see. Cool. And I had put shop on there also. Look, shop, we sold a put spread on Friday, but it's a buy setup, bottoming pattern weekly, and another Climo breakdown failure. So that one's good too. There's shop, and we put cool over here. EAF. Yeah, nice 1, 2, 3, sure. Target 6.25. I'm gonna set an alarm 5:58. Sure. Now see that this is exactly what I would want to see in coup. I would like to see 2 inside bars. And then I'll give this as a core long. Look at the weekly here. You got a breakdown failure, 180 reversal, followed by a bear sandwich. That's a great pattern right there. I'm gonna put that in the window to keep an eye on it. Great pattern on the weekly. Alex mentioned Sherwin-Williams on Wednesday. Beautiful, beautiful 15-minute end of day base. And it's opening flat. So that is a beautiful day trade candidate, Alex. Let me get rid of IIPR down here, bottom right. That's a beautiful, beautiful. But for a new trade, it's a 1, 2, 3. I like. Rocket Man here. You know, it's been beat up. I don't like this monthly as a core trade like the other ones, but we'll just keep an eye on it for a trade. The CMCSA alarm just went off. We're long this from Wednesday. And the holiday's messing me up, but I got to keep saying Wednesday. So I'm going to set a new alarm at 3540. New up alarm. Well, 35.99 for now. Valet. Well, it does have a void. It does, Thomas. The void is from the prior high. So it's making the turn. So that's worth watching. I like it. And it's gapping up. Garmin looks great. I'm going to set an alarm at 9120. That's you know, just bullish. Excuse me, consolidation. $91.20, that looks good. I'm gonna put that in a window too. Maybe we sell a put spread today. JEP Q. I think Alex mentioned this Wednesday. That looks good as a breakout. Roger, I don't know what the heck happened with this gap down, but it's stabilized. Uptrend on the 15. We'll keep an eye on that. NOW, your mess. Go. A Wednesday's high. That's a wide range breakout. Splunk, bottoming pattern. That's bottoming. Put spread idea. Hey, Cesar, or season. APH. Breakout candidate. These are left over from the other day now. CCI bottoming pattern. Marriott, 100 greater than 100% retracement. Look at a weekly. It's a 1, 2, 3. That's put spread idea. All right, the alarm going off here now. Hewlett Packard, it had earnings, range expansion. That would be a nice 1, 2, 3. BNS, up alarm. That's a bank we're in. I'll set new alarms, 5360. And 5280. Oh, Garmin alarm went off. All right, so that's a candidate for a 5-minute high. Bottom right, Sherwin is breaking down, which is good because then it's only going to trigger. It'll be red. It'll be 15-minute breakdown ignored. Absolutely, Roger. Absolutely, for Monday. We're already in it, but absolutely. And this DLR. All right, so a half lot is good to go. DLR, half lot is good. Monster. Oh, Monster low alarm. Okay. That's fine. Take our money. We had a beautiful run on that. We were just in trail mode. Yeah, let me put NPC here so I don't forget it over the weekend. All right, Monster. Oh, Monster fell hard actually in the 5-minute chart. Yep, Microsoft new high, good job. Yep, we got a bull call debit spread. Expires next week. $103.53 Munster. Did anybody watch football yesterday? Did any of your teams win? My dad lives in Dallas, so he obviously watched the Cowboys. Yeah, Microsoft. You know what? Let's move the stop to this pre-market low to protect gains. 246.38. Qs are weak here. Let's see. We have the 235. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe we just sell it. I'm not liking the Qs. 235. It's 1210. Let's sell half 1210 if you have multiple contracts. Oh, actually, I said first target 12, so it already triggered. MPW. It's at the prior high and up a couple bars, Debbie. I'd let it go sideways a little more. All right, Qualcomm, we sold put spread on Friday. Fizzler's been a beast. I'm not chasing. That's a rising wedge. Very strong pattern. Zim. That's a bottoming pattern. I don't like this breakout failure, but I like the 15. So yeah. Yeah, you can put if it's a day trade, stop pre-market low. Sure. I see. I was watching Cool and Shop. Shop's 1, 2, 3 for Monday. DGX. Micron, we did a put spread. It's fine, doing nothing.